April 18th, 2024. It was a 72-hour bender. I didn't see anyone. I isolated myself and I just drank and drank and drank. I had a negative bank account balance and I was at the lowest point I've ever been mentally and physically. But over the past 16 months that I've been sober, my life has got infinitely better.
We are here with Nigel Roxbury.
Nigel Roxbury.
Welcome to Dumb Pod.
Nigel.
A content creator and so much more from New York City.
In those 72 hours, what were you trying to achieve?
I was really attracted to chaos. I thought it was cool to be the guy that lived a sick life and died young.
What do you think, if you were to play devil's advocate, would be the downside of going sober?
I would say
Welcome to That One Time with Adam Metwally, the podcast bridging the gap between health, hustle, and happiness. We're at Podcast for a While in Chelsea, New York City, and I'm with Chris Murch, aka Nigel Roxbury.
What's up, everyone? Thanks for having me, Adam.
Of course, man. So today I want to talk about going sober. So you said previously, I've never fully blacked out, only browned out during nights of drinking, which seemed like a badge of honor in 2022.
Yeah, I guess so.
So with your reputation and content success being inextricably linked to New York City and nightlife culture at that time, what was the moment that you realized you needed to make a change?
I went on an extensive bender. Really, the bender was about 6 to 8 months long, but if we're taking it in the micro, it was a 72-hour bender where I didn't see anyone. I isolated myself and I just drank and drank and drank and did other things. And by the end of it, I had a negative bank account balance. My mom had called me 7 times, very worried. I slept through a work day, all of these things, right? All of these like hyper negatives. And basically the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And that's what I was doing to myself. And I was at the lowest point I've ever been mentally and physically. I was known for like bailing on my friends. I had ruined relationships. I had really ruined a lot of the good that I was producing in my life because I was a pretty high functioning addict. I was able to—
They're the most dangerous ones because you push for so much further.
Yeah. And you don't you don't see anything wrong and no one else sees anything wrong. Yeah. Right. Because I was successful on social media. I had a job. I had money coming in. People seemed to like me. Girls seemed to like me, all these things, but I was destroying myself very rapidly. And it got to a point where I had just hit a rock bottom and it was so deep and dark for me in that moment. And I had a decision to make. It was either keep doing this and risk potentially your future success and a young death and keep disappointing the people in your life, or make a change that can bring you stronger life, stronger health, stronger friendships, stronger relationships, and just become a better person, basically. And I chose the latter, and it's the best decision I ever made.
So in those 72 hours, what were you trying to achieve? What did you want? Because there's got to be some motivating factor. Like, what were you wanting out of that experience?
I was always attracted to people that self-sabotaged their lives, right? So
like who?
Like Jim Morrison from The Doors, like Ernest Hemingway, Jack Kerouac, right? These people that shone so brightly early on in life and then were deceased by a young age or drank themselves to death or committed suicide. Kurt Cobain, another example. I was really attracted to chaos from an early age. I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool to be the guy that lived a sick life and died young. River Phoenix, another example. So what I was trying to do in that moment is I've tried to think about that. Really, I think it was just my addiction saying, keep going, keep going, keep going, as opposed to what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I was thinking at my life at that point that I was doing the things that my idols did, that my, Jean-Michel Basquiat, right? He was such a huge partier, but he was successful in what he did. On the outside, I was successful in what I did too. And he was able to do all these things. And, he died at 27, but like, look at the legacy he left behind. Right. And I was like, man, I'm doing all these right things. I'm doing all these things. I have a job. I people like me, yada, yada. But I just couldn't sit with myself in a sober mind. I couldn't, like, when I was sober, I would be happy for, like, you know, let's say I drank Thursday through Saturday, slept all of Sunday, Monday felt like crap, Tuesday you feel better, Wednesday you're on top of the world, but then Thursday it's time to get the party going again, right? That Wednesday I would feel amazing. Everything would be, you know, the world was at my feet basically, but then I would ruin it again, even though I thought the world was at my feet when I was out at night interacting with people I don't necessarily care about, people I'll never see again, girls I'll, you know, never talk to again, all these things. So it really was just an extreme form of self-sabotage, but in the moment it felt right, if that makes sense.
Do you think your idols that were self-destructive, do you think they were successful because of the addiction or in spite of the addiction?
In spite. You can look down the line and it is in spite of the addiction. They have a talent that largely was wasted. A really good example is someone like Jack Kerouac. Jack Kerouac wrote a lot, published a lot, but by the end of his career wasn't writing, died at 45 or either 45 or 49 due to a hemorrhage because he literally drank himself to death, right? Like extensively published in his life, and then obviously after death as well, and thought of as one of the leading writers of his generation, but he could not live with himself. And if he wasn't drinking, and you can look, you know, I mean, think about the lives cut short, the Mac Millers of the world, the Jimi Hendrixes, who else? You could just go down the 27 Club line, and the self-sabotage is so rampant, and their lives and obviously careers are so cut short. Frankie Lyman was the example I was trying to think of, where drugs, alcohol, or mental health issues just destroyed whatever they had and destroyed their fans and friends and family around them as well. It is always, don't let anyone tell you that they're a better anything when they're intoxicated, because it is simply untrue.
You said in the rapid fire that, and do you think this today, you think about alcohol daily? Is that still a thing that happens?
Yeah, I think about alcohol daily.
What do you think about?
I think about, New York City, I'll see a couple or a group of friends outside at like a bar when I'm like biking down or walking past them, and I'll think, man, I had some good times doing exactly what they're doing. Maybe I could do it again.
Was it the drugs or the relationship?
Which part? It's the valuable camaraderie that you feel when you guys are all doing the same thing, which is drinking. A lot of my friendships were based around drinking and being messed up with each other, right? But then you think about having one sip of an alcoholic beverage, and how, for me, if I had the one sip, the one drink, my life would change again forever. And I know that sounds daunting, but for how I drank, because I wasn't the alcoholic that woke up and needed a drink. I was once I started, I could not stop. And there was always that urge to do so, because I always felt like I, as the addict, was in the right and deserved to do that, right? I was very much like a rewards-based drinker. Oh, I made it through a week of work. Boom, I can go out this weekend. Oh, I did something popped off on social media. Let's go celebrate, right? Now I just can't engage with it, because I have such a good life right now, such a robust life, that why risk, anything like that? Like, I'm going to the US Open later today, right? The Honey Deuce, super popular, right? I've never had one because I've been sober since I've gone to the US Open, which is just the last 2 years. But it would be great to be involved in the camaraderie of everyone having a Honey Deuce around me, and I'm sure they will. But if I have that one, then I'll have 17, then I won't care about anything in my life for the next few days. The wedding I'm going to this weekend, the whole 9. I mean, I've gone to multiple weddings now, multiple bachelor parties, all sober. And all I see is my friends struggling in the morning, hating life. Yeah. And then they have fun when the drunk is up again. But then, they are feeling terrible by Sunday, all these things. And I never want to feel that way again. It is a much better life. I used to live like this, like a roller coaster. Now I'm here and I can go here and I can go here, but I'm never here. And that's way better it's way better being in the middle than extremely high or extremely low.
So it seems like you have an addictive personality. That's pretty clear.
Oh my God. It's ridiculous.
Where have you thought about where that's come from?
Family. You look at my family, addiction is rampant in it.
Do you think it's just a biological imperative?
I think it's definitely biological, based on, is
that a thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Genetics plays a huge role in addiction. Huge. So my mother is 40 years clean. Her father had an addiction to alcohol. My dad's dad had an addiction to alcohol. My dad struggled with it a little bit as well. It is rampant in my family. And both me and my brother are now sober. And it's about, I didn't really know about the genetic alcoholism thing. My mom would like try to tell me, but I would just ignore her until I like did my own research. And I was very self-aware of what I was doing to myself from like the age of probably 24 on, but I just didn't care. I didn't think it was time to quit because I was still young and hip and people liked me. But it got to a point where my life became unsalvageable. What I was doing to myself was just so unhealthy that something needed to change.
So if you weren't young and hip and people liked you, you think you would have quit earlier, or you would have moved into more alcohol to numb the fact that you weren't young, hip and people liked you?
Yeah. You know, what's funny is I was just a social drinker until like the age of 27. And then I would start to drink alone and do other things alone. And then I started self-isolating a little bit more. And I think if my relationships had been affected earlier on, or I was just a bad drunk earlier on, I probably would have.
Interesting.
Because I had no reason to stop for a long time. Again, girls liked me. My friends enjoyed my presence while intoxicated. I was the jokester of the party. I loved talking to people. There was no external reason for me to stop. It was only internal. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. Like again, doing the same thing, expecting different results. That was me to a T, where I was and it just continued to get worse and got to a point where I had to stop or I was going to die young. That's like really like how dramatic it got.
I read a book recently called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And I found it really interesting in regards to addiction. It's probably something really interesting that you could read as well. I found it fascinating. It's kind of been bouncing around in my brain quite recently.
What's it about?
It's basically the idea that you need to have control over your urges, because your urges are the form of the devil working in your life.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
And this idea, it's a different quote, but the devil doesn't tempt you with broccoli.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like a string bean would be great. Yeah. The devil really likes you to go down a dark path, and I chose to go down it for well over a decade. And man, fuck you, devil. I'll be out of that.
Honestly, though, it seems like it's control. It is some form of dark control over you.
Yeah.
If you really go down to the core, you see people behave in ways that are not them. Like
they're almost possessed.
They're literally possessed.
Yes.
If you think about it.
Yeah. That's how drugs can really hold you. The thing with drugs, right, is it's a mental and physical dependency that can get you. It is all encompassing as a toxin to yourself, as to humanity, really. So the devil grabbed a hold of me I don't really believe in like heaven, hell, devil, God, but if the
concept of
the concept of something grabbing you and controlling your life is very real, and it did for a long time.
Well, the concept of, if you want to not approach it as like a religious concept, the concept of like God and the devil can also be considered as a concept of light and dark, the concept of good and bad. It's the polarity in everything we do.
Right.
So it does exist in so many forms. And that darkness can be really, really powerful. And it can really, really impact you.
Big time.
So anyway, that's a slight digression.
Outwitting the Devil.
Outwitting the Devil.
I'm going to check that out.
Really
That sounds
solid
great.
book. So you marked 1 year of sober on 18th of April, 2025, right?
Yes, 2025. I have it tattooed
There
on
we
me
go.
in Roman numerals like a douche. But yeah, April 18th, 2024 was that Monday where I was just like, I gotta do something, man. Yeah.
So in concrete terms, what changed the most in your health, relationships, and career this year? Give us 3 measurable shifts that you felt and able to track.
The one thing I've been saying when people ask about this is my whole life when I was using, I was taking. Now in sobriety, I'm able to give more. I'm able to give more of my time. I'm able to give more of myself. I'm able to give more of my wit, my conversation, my ears. Really, like I'm able to listen a lot more. Really, all I cared about was myself. Being an addict is an incredibly selfish thing to do, right? But it's also kind of a selfish thing to realize you're an addict and get sober as well, because you need to break yourself down as low as you possibly can be, which is where you are, to build yourself back up. Right. So that's definitely one of them. 2 is the energy that you will feel from others in your social interactions as a sober person at first will be daunting and tough and scary, but you walk away from any of those interactions so much better because you're not going to have regret over what you say unless you're an asshole or dumb or whatever. You don't have those Sunday scaries, right? You can make the impression that you want to make with them. It is not the alcohol or the drugs that is swaying what you're saying. It is your conscious decision and effort to utilize your conversational skills to interact with people however you want. And then the other thing is that I've seen is that I feel emotions like I'm a 5th grader again. And yes, I'm on Zoloft, which can dampen emotions a little bit. But I think for me, it's actually helped me be able to process my emotions a little bit better because it slows me down. Everything when I was an addict was fast moving, chaos, fun, chaos. Deathly lows, crash. And the crashes were really tough and fast moving and horrible. Right. So I'm feeling emotions and I'm able to process them so much better. I'm feeling glee. I'm morose at times. Right. I'm, ecstatic, jubilant, all these, different adjectives. And it's great to feel those emotions again and not, you have a bad day at work, you drink that night to forget about it. Right. Well, I can't do that. So I got to internalize it and say, okay, well, why was it a tough day? Work through those steps and, come to a conclusion for myself. I mean, the other thing is like, you have to be so honest with yourself. I hate people that can't admit they're wrong ever. And there are people like that in the world. And for me, in sobriety, you have to self-admit when you were in the wrong, the right, whatever, internalize that and move forward. And I'm really grateful for sobriety for that reason, especially.
Okay. So Brendan Novick, he once said, sobriety has given me what drugs and alcohol promised.
Well, yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that's like one of the more truthful things that I've heard. And shout out Brandon Novak. I've done extensive like YouTube video watching and reading about his story as well. What drugs and alcohol promised to me was girls would like me. I would be more outgoing. I would write better. I would act better. I would do anything that I was, maybe not be an athlete better because, that doesn't really help, but
depends on the drug.
Yeah, I guess so. Right. It promises you the world and it promises you the heights that you want to achieve as a child. But all it does is just keep cutting away at that potential that you have and your future that you have. It may not in the beginning, and you may not feel that in the moment when the substance is consumed, but it will always come back to bite you. And now I have, the show Dumb Hot, which I created while I was sober, I would have never been able, and I always thought, oh, while I'm drinking, I'm much funnier and much everything and all these things and much more outgoing in public and all these things. Now I have to be outgoing and witty in public all the fucking time with this show. And there's no way I could do it intoxicated. It would be an absolute nightmare. There's no way I could be a good person while doing it. There's no way I could live the life that I have right now while drinking. And, you would think in the past that drinking and drugs would help you be that more outgoing person, but it took away a lot of it for me. And, again, I was isolating by the end of my usage and all these things. And so, feel so much better in every capacity nowadays.
It seems like confidence is a muscle that if you externalize to a substance, you don't build the muscle yourself.
Yeah. It's chemically given to you in the moment. And then when you're done, it's taken away tenfold, right? Because then, you party. The way I like to look at alcohol now and this is a common thought when I think about alcohol is, okay, cool. You're going to have fun for 3-4 hours while drinking. And then you're going to feel like shit for 48 hours. So just math wise, it doesn't make any sense for anyone's life, right? The older you get, the worse your hangovers are going to get.
Stealing happiness from tomorrow. You've heard before,
exactly.
I'm sure.
I've heard that before many times. That is a key thought that I have constantly when I'm like, oh man, it'd be nice to have that Aperol Spritz right there, and frankly, if I was able to have 1 or 2 drinks and go home and feel fine, I'd still be drinking. But knowing myself as an addict, and this is where that self-awareness comes in, I can't. And while on its face, it's kind of unfortunate, as someone who used to do those things a lot. It's honestly, my addiction is the best gift that I've ever received in my life because it has given me this current life that I live. And, that valid life experience that I had while drinking, like I had a lot of fun and there were definitely some good times and I met a lot of good people through it. And I don't regret, I regret certain moments, but I don't regret the trajectory of my addiction because now it's given me what is this like beautiful life that I have right now.
Well, I mean, I guess there's survivorship bias in that though.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's getting sober is, while it's the best thing I've done, it's also the hardest thing I've done. Yeah. And it takes, I tried to get sober twice before. Mm-hmm. Didn't stick. Yeah. It doesn't stick for a lot of people. And sometimes it doesn't stick for life, and it can drag them down and beat them down and cause untimely deaths and all these things. And so, yes, I have this bias, but, it's outwitting that devil, like you said, being able to have the active thoughts of wanting to go down that road again every single day and saying no is a powerful, powerful feeling. The most powerful feeling you can have, powerful than any drug you could ever imagine.
On the point of relapse, there's saying the relapse is part of the recovery. What are your thoughts around that?
I agree completely. The 2 times I got sober, I went like 35 days one time. Didn't do AA, didn't do therapy, just white knuckled it. Obviously didn't work. I did 55 the next time, tried to do a little AA, didn't work, white knuckled it, went back. And each time I went back harder because I was like, oh, 55 days, word. I'm like healthy.
Gotta catch up.
I'm healthy now. I worked on my brain for those 55 days. I worked out a lot, all these things. And so, relapses happen. I would say if someone's going through it and they don't let it get you down. Make sure you remember how you feel in that moment. Remember how much pain, whether that is like physical pain, aka a hangover, or mental strain. Because here's the thing, no one regrets getting sober. It's impossible to regret it because it's so great. I mean, genuinely. And so, but everyone will regret a relapse, right? You may have, let's say you relapse and you have a great night. You hook up with the girl you've always wanted to, all your friends think you're funny and witty, all that. That feeling will not last, I promise you. And so you take how you feel in the moment where you're the lowest again and use that to make sure that you don't get back there.
Just quickly though, I love doing this podcast. If it's positively impacted you in some way and you would like to support us, please subscribe By subscribing, it allows us to build a much bigger base of listeners, which results in better guests, better production, and a better show overall. Alternatively, please take a look at the affiliate links of the products that I use and love in the comments below and consider purchasing using those links. They'll give you a discount and they'll also provide the podcast a small kickback. These are two very easy ways for you to support us as we continue to grow the podcast that we absolutely love doing. Thank you for your support, and now back to the episode. For somebody listening who would love to go sober but really struggles with peer pressure, what are your responses? What are the responses you use when people push drinks on you?
They're not real friends.
Really?
Those are not the people that you want in your life.
Talk to me about that.
So I have an interesting experience because when I got sober, all my friends were like, oh, thank God. Like all my friends were like, thank God you got sober. You needed to be so bad because
Did they tell you that beforehand?
They were supportive when I did it the first 2 times. And then when I went back, they were like, oh man, but they weren't necessarily like sitting me down. I never had like the intervention style thing because again, on the surface, my life was good. Right. But so I didn't necessarily have the peer pressure experience. What I will say is you have to be very upfront and honest about your experience with drinking, right? You have to let the people in your lives know, whether they have seen it or not, that, hey, I can't drink because if I do this and this will happen. I joke about my sobriety all the time. I'm like, yeah, born old Chris back at the party, you know, like all these things. I deal with things with humor, but I would say deal with your sobriety with the utmost honesty to yourself and to others. And if they are still peer pressuring you, they're not your friends. Get away from them, because a real friend wants you to be your happiest and your best at all times. As best as you possibly can be. And if someone's like, oh man, come on, bro, do this line with me. They are the insecure ones who need that comfort in everyone around them doing the same thing they're doing, which is destroying themselves basically. Because alcohol and cocaine are just 2 forms of poison. Basically, no one drinks and does coke until they're 90. People could drink until they're 90, but no one's like doing drugs until their late age. And, so you have to be honest. And if it still happens, get rid of them.
How's dating going?
Dating's interesting. Sober. I would say when I first got sober, it was a little bit more difficult because when you were drinking and you want that fulfillment of having female attention, you can go to a bar and you can get it, right? When you're sober and you don't want to be in those situations, some people get sober and still go out all the time. I was not like that.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. And you're great at that. And it's somewhere you've been sober longer than I have. So like, I think I'm getting better at it. It takes a lot of time, especially for me, the way I partied. But when it comes to dating sober, again, honesty, being very upfront is very key. I would say doing activities outside of the normal date structure, the dinners, the drinks, get moving around, go on a walk. I go mini golfing, go bowling, be active, I would say is a big key. And then,
bowling is an ick apparently though.
Is bowling an ick?
Apparently.
Well,
being okay at bowling is an ick. So you have to be bad at bowling.
You can either be good at bowling or good at sex. You can't pick 2, right? Can't pick both. And luckily I'm horrible at bowling. But I would say, and I know you're asking about my experience.
Well, yeah, for somebody listening that is single and sober, how can you approach it?
My story is a little bit different because I have a presence on the internet. So I'm able.
I have clout.
There's not really a great way to say it that doesn't sound conceited, but I have the ability to reach out to people through the interwebs. And if it's in a flirty way, or if it's to do my show, or if it's to, whatever. But when it comes to me dating sober now, so I dated for a few months, then I got a girlfriend. Cheated on me, dumped me. That was great. And then, I maintained sobriety through that like pretty traumatic experience, which I was really happy about. And what I will say is that if you are planning the dates sort of around the thought of sobriety being top of funnel there, like you said. So where you propose the daytime date, the walk, the go to a bookstore, the active date, all of these things, you'll have much better success than sitting down. I like to do dinner dates, but I can talk to a brick wall. So maybe if you're not like as outgoing, making sure that you're putting yourself in the best possible scenario to A, not drink, B, not be nervous, C, make sure she likes you, right? Play to your strengths, I would say, in dating for anyone, but especially sober, play to your strengths. What do you like to do? I like to go watch movies. Okay. Movies in the park during the summer, right? I like to run or be active. Okay. Maybe we go on a walk, then you propose a run for a second date, whatever.
And then you start sprint training.
And then you start sprinting
competitively.
Yeah. And then you run away from her,
yeah.
or she runs away from you.
Yeah,
but I would just say play to your strengths. Overall, that's like the main point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. So why don't we look at what would you say the top 5 sober dating ideas would be?
Okay. Matcha in a walk or caffeinated beverage in a walk. I really like it. I work better when moving, and I think conversation can flow really well when you have stuff to observe around you. That's number 1. Number 2, activity. Something that, makes you either use your brain or use your body. Those are key. I keep going to back to the mini golf in Tribeca is like a really good example. Number 3, dinner. I think a dinner, if you feel comfortable sitting with the person opposite you for an hour and a half, eating in front of them and talking, then go for it. I like dinners. Again, I can talk to anyone. And I love going to new restaurants. That's like kind of something I've found in sobriety as to be, one of my hobbies. I love hospitality and trying new things out. Let's say you're a little bit deeper into a relationship. Number 4, taking a little day trip. That's really fun. You don't really know someone until you travel with them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So make sure, that's moving on. And then number 5, how you guys interact in the privacy of your own abodes. Are the similar interests there when you're both at your most comfortable, right? Whether that is engaging in a television show, whether that's playing card games, whether that's, sitting down for a movie, straight up talking, intimacy, of course, but how you guys interact in a home or domestic setting, I think is important as well. I just gave you the whole relationship cycle, really, is what I did. I just gave you the first 5 dates.
That's good. That's good. What do you think, if you were to play devil's advocate, would be the downside of going sober? What are the downsides of going sober?
The downsides of going sober is you're going to have a lot more social anxiety and you're not going to feel inclined to go out, at least at first.
Okay.
Your social life, I'm telling you right now, I know it's kind of sucks, at least for me, your social life will suffer. You will see your friends less.
Yeah. Unless you've managed to cultivate friendships that don't rely solely on drinking.
Exactly. For me, a lot of my relationships were around alcohol. I don't want to see these people often, but if you want to see, so when you're going out, you see wide swaths of people at once.
Yeah.
When you're sober and you don't want to go out, it's more one-on-one. It's a little bit more one-on-one, right?
Interesting. Because I don't have a very solid, wide group of friends, but I have really strong one-on-one individual relationships.
Yes.
But I have rarely ever drinked. I've rarely drunk. Rarely ever drunk. I've rarely gone to the after parties. I've rarely gone to festivals with huge groups of people. And every now and again, I bring these random individual people together and it's a strange combination because it's all over the place.
Right.
So I never thought about it that way.
Yeah,
dude. That sounds interesting.
I was the wide swath, big group guy.
Yeah.
I knew everyone that I was, hanging out with typically in front of me. And if I didn't, I'd bring them into the group. Yeah. Right. I was very friendly and would try to actively meet as many people as I possibly could. Mm-hmm. You are just straight up not going to see as many people as you once did. And you know what? That is okay, because the people who you do want in your life, you have such stronger relationships with, and those interactions feel much more important. You're able to listen better. You're able to speak better, the whole 9. So the one caveat to getting sober is you might lose some friends, or you might just not see them as much.
Yeah.
But the people you want to see, it's going to be so much better.
We spoke about social anxiety before. Have you found any good tools when you're in highly stimulating environments that help? Really?
Leave.
Yeah, you don't have anything to push you through it?
Leave. I again, play to your strengths, right? I get very overwhelmed now.
Got it.
If it's like a dark, dank bar with music way too loud, where before that was my shit. Now it's like, I just leave. And let me put something a bit more practical into play though, because I have become,
leave.
yeah, I guess it is. I am comfortable leaving and saying goodbye. I don't Irish exit. I fucking will say, hey, sorry, feeling a little anxious. I just want to get out of here. No one says anything. Everyone's cool. I would say that, but the one thing is, and that's just like an internal struggle that I deal with. The one thing I will say, and this is more general, everyone is thinking about themselves more than they're thinking about you. You may think that within this party, within this music, within everything that's overwhelming you, that everyone's looking at you and they're like, oh, why are they nervous? Why are they awkward? Even though you're not being awkward and ever. First of all, awkwardness and embarrassment are two made up emotions. You can choose to be both. Right? Like you don't need to feel embarrassed or awkward, simply, straight up. So everyone's thinking about themselves more than they're thinking about you. So while you may think you're not performing to the best of your abilities while sober in a party situation, everyone is just worried about themselves and if they're going to get laid or if they're going to, meet the person or whatever. And if you're having too much social anxiety, leave, go get a chopped cheese, go do whatever, man, like whatever makes you happy. For me, being out and about used to make me happy, but it was all chemically made. Yeah. I've hated being at clubs sober. It's awful. I still like a little dive bar moment with my friends with the music low, hopefully. And just chatting, like that's fun for me, but I can't do overwhelming anymore. It's too like mind numbing for me in a way.
Overstimulating.
There we go. Yeah. You always got the right words.
It's my job. Well, I wanted to quickly touch on my sober experience, which sounds completely different to yours. I never really drunk a lot, but I did drink a bit.
Right.
I've experienced most things. Like I smoked meth once.
I've accidentally done meth many times through bad Molly. Trust me. It's happened many times.
And I tried a lot and just it began to become a regular drink. I found love in red wine.
Nice.
That was where
you classic guy.
I just loved a bottle of red, which I still do. I thoroughly enjoy it. But I noticed I would be drinking a couple of glasses every night. And then I noticed I'd go out for dinner, I'd knock a bottle.
Habitual.
And it became part of my life experience and I noticed the hangovers, but I didn't get too far. I traveled in 2022 and came to America and Mexico for 4 months, drunk a fair bit. Went to Amsterdam for ADE and drunk a bottle of wine every single night. And at the end of it, got a bunch of cold sores because I was run down. My gut was off. And I said to myself,
dehydrated.
I said to myself, hey, I'm going to take a month when I get back, do a little reset, and then we'll go from there.
Right.
Got to the end of the month. And then I thought, maybe I'll get to Christmas. Got to Christmas. I said, maybe I'll get to February. Got to February. I said, maybe I'll get through this Thailand trip I was going on. Got through it, nearly caved. Actually,
trips are tough.
Dinner with like 20 friends.
Yeah.
Everyone's ordering cocktails.
Right.
I go, fuck it, I'm getting one. And everyone cheered.
Oh my God.
Everyone's like, yeah, let's go. And then, but they weren't pressuring me at all.
Right.
And they never were.
They just wanted you in the moment with them.
Yeah. And then
did you get it?
A couple of minutes later, I was like, sorry guys, I'm actually out.
Good for you,
and
man.
they were like, okay.
Good for you, dude.
No one really cared.
Yeah, and those are real friends of yours probably.
Yeah, no one cared. And then after I got through that, I was done. I got a year, and then after a year, I was good.
Yeah.
2 years. The only thing I have done is because I'm in hospitality and I need to be understanding of taste. I will taste things in the tiniest amount.
Sure.
Sometimes.
That's not breaking.
Very, very, very rare.
That's not breaking sobriety.
Very rare.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, good for you for like that trip experience, like you said. And it sounds like you were, like you said, an experimenter. You wanted to try everything once, right?
I'll try most things at least twice.
At least twice. I like that.
Because the first time you don't know.
Yeah.
Except for meth, just once.
Yeah. Meth is one of those things where you can probably just do it once and, because you get face sores after the second time.
Yeah. And then you're on Delancey and Essex.
Yeah. Just hanging out by that McDonald's. Just like, yeah, let me get a Big Mac. Someone get me a Big Mac. But dude, thank you for telling your story. I didn't know kind of the evolution of how you do. And I mean, how has sobriety really changed who you are in your life?
It was a pretty easy shift socially.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my friends don't care.
Good.
At all.
Yeah.
My parents don't drink.
Okay.
So that was pretty easy. My extended family does. And my uncle has a big show about every Christmas with bottles of wine that are very, expensive and old. It's his whole thing.
Right.
And every couple of years I've take a tiny sip and
shout out Zen, baby.
Great. Yes.
I needed to concentrate sometimes.
It's
it helps,
not bad.
helps with that nicotine.
Makes me want to vomit though.
Yeah, you got to get used to it. I've been doing it for like 2 years now, and at the beginning, I have vomited before from them.
Shit.
Yeah,
yeah.
Talk about a fun time.
But it's been okay. It's been. I feel the best part about it is, and I think in America it's been really interesting because the American culture is quite supportive to not drinking. In Australia, if I say I don't drink, you get this look like, what do you mean?
I wonder if it's going to make it over to Australia because I think that's pretty new in America.
Really?
And
here, people are like, good on you. There's less like, screw you, but more, okay, cool.
Yeah, because we have seen generations of people struggle with addiction here. Beer ads so in your face all the time. Pharmaceuticals always in your face, always on commercials, all these things. We've seen a lot of our heroes die via drugs. My hero, I have 2 tattoos of him, Mac Miller, died, of an accidental drug overdose.
Do you think it was accidental?
I do think it was I think there's proof that it was accidental. This is really morbid. He was found in like a near praying position on the edge of his bed, probably saying, please don't let me die right now. Cause he had got sold drugs with fentanyl in them.
Oh shit.
And 2 people actually went to prison for it. So it was definitely accidental.
I didn't realize.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is fucking.
And it was in New York, wasn't it?
No, LA. Yeah. Studio City. But, we've just drugs and alcohol and its effects have been in our face since we were born. Right. And again, we've seen so many people die because of it, especially recently with the whole fentanyl thing. Tom Petty, Prince, Michael Jackson died of a drug overdose, all these things. And so being knowledgeable of that and seeing it and seeing death like that. And a lot of people, have had friends that have overdosed. It makes a lot of sense in our lives to not engage with it or indulge in it as much. And there is really this big movement where there's a lot more scientific research showing how bad alcohol is for you over the long term. And I'm sure you guys see all that news in Australia. It's obviously not a third world country.
It's very ingrained in the culture in Australia.
And in America it is, but it's changing. And Australia, I could totally, and it's, obviously the UK, you guys are part of the Commonwealth.
Pubs.
Yeah. You guys are part of the Commonwealth, right? Like, you go over to the UK and Ireland and it's, you're in New York, it's bodega, bodega, bodega. And, urban places in the UK, it's pub, pub, pub on the corners, right? So it's a culture thing. And in Australia, I could totally see it honestly changing just with more time, frankly. I don't know if you think that is actually possible, but
yeah, I'm open to it. I think some people are fine with the idea, but I've noticed on average it's more skewed towards a bit of a
also isn't being an addict in Australia really expensive because you guys got to import everything?
It is, and there's a lot of drug culture in Australia,
right? Like
there's a lot of paraphernalia. Like there's a culture around people going to music festivals and doing these sticks. Have you seen the doof sticks? They're these people, friend finders at festivals where they make these sticks, and these with like a poster on it, like a like something you see to protest, you know, big sign.
Yeah, sure, like a banner or something.
Banner. And they're usually just drug paraphernalia, like
the art that's on
the
it.
art people make up drug paraphernalia.
Oh, interesting.
So I played at this festival in Australia, and I did a reel, and the reel went viral, and some of the comments were like, did anyone see the Ket 365 sign? Because there's a betting site called Bet 365.
Oh yeah. I've seen that on soccer jerseys before.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Ket 365.
That's
shit
amazing.
like that.
Yeah.
And
sure. I think in Australian culture, from what I've seen and my friends that are Australian, a lot of you guys like deal with like real life things with humor. If I might be mistaken in that, but I think a lot of the drug culture is kind of funny and and righteous, until it's not, and you experience it yourself, really. But I can still joke about it. But
here's one.
Oh my God, man, that's great, dude.
Like, they're very creative.
Yeah,
like ketamine girls.
That is so good, dude.
What else have we got? That is the take on, my view on my experience of going sober. And generally I've found, and I don't know if this is just unique to me, but I heard, do you know Sadhguru? Do you know who Sadhguru is? Sadhguru. He's like a Eastern Indian philosopher guy, meditation teacher, pretty well known in that world.
Yep.
He was talking once, and someone asked him why he doesn't do drugs or drink alcohol. And he said, I'm high all the time. So
hell yeah.
His general state is he's gotten to a point through probably meditation and yoga and practices of whatever practices he's undertaken, the way he approaches his diet and everything, where he feels energetically high. Mm-hmm. He's probably super happy, content. And then the act of drinking and doing drugs takes him from the higher state and puts him into the drug-induced state that isn't as high.
Right.
So it's naturally not it's not a useful tool to get something out of it.
It's such an unuseful tool. In fact, it works for a few hours. It's that stealing happiness thing.
Yeah.
Works for a few hours and then you'll never feel lower. If you've ever done, it sounds like you probably have ever done ecstasy. There's the whole thing of like the sad Tuesdays is like what we used to call it.
We call it Westgate Wednesdays. There's a bridge in Melbourne called the Westgate Bridge.
Yeah. You might want to jump over that, or jump off of it. So it's, and that is like a really good micro example of how, yes, you can be high on these things, but ultimately it will drop you down to depths that you don't want to be. Where again, if you live like this, you're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to have a lot of sorrow. If you live like this, you're going to have fun, maybe a little sorrow, but you're going to be feeling nice and good and where you should be at all times, or, around most times at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good place to switch gears. So wrapping up on this, what is a lesson you would hope that everyone takes away from the conversation?
Use my experience as a grounding mechanism. If a choice that you want to make in life, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be sobriety, but a drastic choice in life that you want to make, and use me as an example. I don't know if that sounds conceited. It sounds conceited coming out of my mouth, but over the past 16 months that I've been sober, my life has gotten infinitely better. It is a complete 180 from what it is. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be sobriety. If you want to make a big job switch, if you want to do all these things, the leap of faith is good if you have been introspective about it and done your research and have a belief in yourself that you can do these things, right? I think self-belief, self-worth, and self-awareness are three big avenues that everyone needs to put in the work to go down and find what they really want in life. And I hope that I can be an example in that capacity. There's a reason I talk about my sobriety a lot. It's very important to me, but I am so happy with the life that I'm currently leading that I would hope, people heed what I'm saying and bring it into their own life, because ultimately I want everyone to be happy. Unlike the current administration in office right now, everything goes back to politics for me. I fucking hate Donald Trump so much, but, maintain like being, it always happens, man. Every conversation I have seemingly, and that's fun. Right. But no, man,
like spiraled.
I could go down a whole rabbit hole, man. But yeah, just, by the way, my DMs are wide open. If you ever want to talk about sobriety, all these things, like more than willing to share my story, more than willing to tell you how I've done it, what the benefits have been. Obviously there are some cons to it as well, but I'll leave you guys with this. No one ever regrets betting on themselves, taking that leap of faith, and no one regrets getting sober.
Great. And where can people find you if they're interested?
At Nigel Roxbury on Instagram and TikTok. On Instagram, I also have NYC History Hub, which is New York City history. And then follow my show at Dumb Hot Show, where we ask hot people trivia questions. And it's really fun and funny, and we have a blast with it.
Great. And my last question is, what do you think the meaning of life is?
I think the meaning of life is choosing how to react to what you can't control. And let's hope that that's a positive way. And let's hope you have a positive reaction to that external stimuli that you can't control.
Great. If you've enjoyed the episode, please go to YouTube, search That One Time with Adam Metwally, click subscribe, like the video, and leave us a comment.
Chris, algorithm, baby. Let's go.
Sir.
Dude,
thanks, Chris. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, man.
Of course.